Okay, so where were we? What we were talking about Allie, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it reminds me a lot of after Star Wars Episode 7 came out and the internet started going crazy about who were Rey's parents. That was all false hype, all started by the internet. Had everybody not gone crazy, who's Rey's parents? I don't think I ever would have given it another thought. The same way until in the Han Solo movie, they started, Han and Lando started talking about their parents. I had never stopped to think about who their parents were either. It doesn't matter. I mean, if she wasn't a Skywalker, it didn't really matter. But yeah, I feel like the internet set up all kinds of expectations for characters like Allie coming back, and I have to wonder if that was ever even in the plans. I mean, look, I love the character, and I do kind of wish that if they bring her back, like even if it is over a Skype call or something, I would like to get her side of the story for her and Daniel's breakup, because yeah, that was kind of crap writing. But yeah, I mean, and if she doesn't come back because she doesn't fit the narrative, that's fine. I completely trust the writers on this show to do what needs to be done to tell the best story without getting hung up on characters that they have to bring back. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. I really got a thrill from the episode where we saw Johnny's fellow Cobra Kai students, all except for Dutch.
Oh, yeah.
And see, I thought that was perfect. It was great. We got to see him again. We reunited with him again. I don't feel like they need to come back again. Just like, hey, look, part of me, just for them to, just for this show, to completely legitimize and that the next Karate Kid is canon to the series, I don't think Hilary Swank would ever come back, but if she did, it would be nice to see Miyagi's two students just actually meet, because I have to assume that in this world, Johnny, or even though Johnny didn't know who Mike Barnes was, didn't know who Terry Silver was, obviously, I have to imagine that Daniel and Julie did meet at some point. Because in this continuity, Mr. Miyagi died in 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of years following the next Karate Kid. And obviously, the relationship with Daniel still continued. So, yeah, I have to think maybe they met at some point. Yeah, I really don't see Hilary Swank wanting to come back. But I wouldn't complain if she did. But, yeah, just like somebody, I read something last year that said, what if they bring Daniel's girlfriend from Karate Kid Part 3 back? First of all, they did have to correct him and say, was never Daniel's girlfriend.
Right.
Made that absolutely clear that they were just friends. She had a boyfriend back in Ohio, and even though she had cut his head off of the pictures, I'm just like, she doesn't need to come back. And, you know, as much as I love Kumiko, if she doesn't come back, that's okay too. It does annoy me that Sato can't come back, but, well, you know, that would be difficult to pull off.
Right, damn death.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. But, I mean, if anything, I am glad that they brought Kreese back, but the tonal shift with that, because I'll say this, I am Miyagi-Do for life. But Johnny's Cobra Kai that we saw in season 1, I could totally stand with them too. Like it, he had, his heart was in the right place. he had good intentions, and then Kreese came back, manipulated the shit out of Johnny, and fucked it all up. But that's what Kreese does. He
Right. I was going to say,
brings
as he
chaos that,
does.
yeah, everybody's better off without that kind of chaos, but hey, he brings it anyways. And now they really have to deal with it, because as much as he was a really bad guy in the Karate Kid trilogy, somehow he's even worse now. I'm just like, oh my God, this guy. Well, what they say, he's faked his death twice.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm glad they brought him back. Well, it's funny because at the end I didn't know anything going into season 1, and my girlfriend, she did tell me when we were halfway through the season, she's like, I read a spoiler that I wish I hadn't read. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And right at the end of the episode of episode 10, when Johnny he's in the dojo and he hears somebody come in and he thinks it's Miguel, and he realizes, oh my God, Satan has returned. I looked at her. I'm like, is that the part you had spoiled? She's like, yes. She said it made her mad because she really didn't want to see anything like that. And since I didn't know about it, I felt like that was an extremely effective cliffhanger to end on.
It was a huge spoiler too if you knew that he was going to show up.
I'm so glad that I didn't.
Yeah,
so glad.
That would have ruined it for me for sure, because I had no idea. So it was a complete surprise to see Kreese walk through that door, because I thought he was dead. You know, that's what we found out in episode 7.
Well, and see, when Johnny said that, I had every reason to believe that was true, that within the show's continuity, that he was dead. But then when he walked in, I just thought to myself, this is not good news for anybody involved. And after we finished season 2, I realized, nope, I was right. Nope, this is not good for anybody involved. And I'm just like, how much worse can he possibly get in season 3? Oh, let's find out. I'm terrified. For both the sake of Daniel and Johnny, because Johnny's in a bad place. And you know, as much as I know Carmen blames Johnny for what happened because he started the Karate Kid, the karate dojo in the first place, I understand why she's blaming him, but it was absolutely not Johnny's fault, because Miguel showed mercy. Somebody else just couldn't leave well enough alone. In fact, after that happened, I felt like that was the first time I thought, wow, Robbie's been living with them for too long, because he just couldn't leave well enough alone. The same way Daniel couldn't, because Johnny even says it in the first season, that he had stopped bothering Daniel until the Halloween dance. And
that wasn't true.
That
was a lie. That's kind of the point.
Well, yeah,
Johnny was lying.
Yeah, but what we see on screen, we don't know what the time period, and like they kind of pushed him down the cliff. If Daniel's to be believed. But yeah, I don't know that they would have kept going picking on Daniel if you go by
the book and the script, which are canon because they are what was intended to be on the screen, and the screenwriter contributed to the book. It was constant from the night of the party at the beach until the Halloween dance. The whole point of Johnny telling Miguel that story was that Johnny was lying. Everyone knows that.
I've never read the book. I know it's blasphemy, but I've never read the book.
A lot of people have never read the book.
No.
And that's fine. But I mean, that's you're supposed to come away from that knowing Johnny's lying.
All right. Well, I'm just going by what we saw on the screen, but now I want to read those books.
Everybody's getting them now for some reason. It's really
Yeah.
funny.
I feel like if those books are not in print, they should put them back into print now. But I don't know. I can't wait for season 3. I know it's still probably a couple more months away, but well, in 2020 terms, it could be 10 years away, honestly.
Right.
But with the 12 hours a day, then we'll probably still get them in like 15 years.
Right?
That's
There's
true.
that math again.
That's true. So
there's that math again. But it's still before Christmas.
Right.
You know what? As long as we have it in time for Christmas, I'll be happy. I just don't want to see it get pushed into next year because we don't know if the world's still going to be here next year. So, you know,
I'm hoping that we jump back into or realign with the string of the universe that we departed from, that started this whole bizarre alternate reality that we're not supposed to live in. I want to merge back up with my actual self and live the life that I'm supposed to be living. But it's so weird to think about because when we found out it was going to Netflix at the end of June, and then when we found out it was going to be released on August 28th on July 1st, right? We found that out. It was the day the movies were released on Netflix. They announced that it was, going to be released on the 28th for season 1 and 2, right around the same time. And it just seemed like such a long time, right? And oh my God, August 28th is so far away, and it's 14 days from now. And you look like we thought that 365 days between the end of season, watching season 2 and getting season 3, we thought that 365 days was going to kill us. We're now on day 479, and we're still here, and we've made it this far, and it's just like no big deal anymore. We'll get it when we get it. And get sick between now and then, die between now and then. Oh well, that sucks. I'll watch it in heaven. It's just, you get used to it. It's weird.
Well, to paraphrase Mr. Miyagi, if we do die between now and then, problem solved.
Right.
But I guess it's like anything that you're anticipating, any sort of upcoming movie or TV show. The waiting is just part of it. You have to accept it. You can get impatient with it, and it sucks. Sometimes it's really, truly torture, but I know it's going to be worth the wait. That's why I have nothing but optimism, and I don't want to wait, but I know it's going to be well worth it. So, and it's going to be enjoyable, and I'm going to get to the end of the season and say, fuck, already? All right, I guess I have to go watch it again. So,
we'll
just like I did
hours.
with the so
11 hours of pure bliss, and then another potentially 18 months of hell. Waiting for season 4. So, because they are supposed to be so far along in the process that they're looking. This time last year, we're getting photos of them rebuilding the sets. This time last year, Peter, you and I were 2 weeks away from going down there the day before filming started.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be ready to go. Season 4 is supposed to start. The cast is supposed to be moving into their apartments this weekend. That's what's supposed to be happening right now. And none of it is. So when are they going to be able to film? I mean, how can they film anything? How can they film anything in Atlanta in the winter? It doesn't snow in the San Fernando Valley. And sometimes it snows in Atlanta. So I don't know. It's gonna be really, really different.
Well, when, yeah, because I was, I was listening to, because, you're going back and you're adding the cast interviews to the YouTube channel. And even though I did listen to those interviews last year I'm basically re-listening to them now because, like, when they were talking about there was snow when they were filming. And, I mean, I live down south. I remember every once in a while it will snow.
Mhm.
But it was kind of one of those things that I kind of forgot about. And when I because I think it was Dimitri that said it, and I'm just like, that's so crazy because this show takes place in Southern California, and like they said when they were filming some of like the Miyagi-Do stuff, like the hottest day of the year in the show, it was actually everybody was like chilled to the bone.
Yeah. It was like 40 degrees and raining.
And I mean, wow, you'd never know it from watching the show. And
it was snowing the day they filmed the All Valley. Wasn't that the day it was snowing? Was when they were filming the All Valley.
I think they had even canceled a couple days due to
which would
weather.
Make sense because they had to film outside.
Yeah, I have to lament it. Or as much as I want to be sad that they can't start filming season 4 right now, well, I take comfort in the fact that absolutely nothing that any of us watch on a regular basis is filming right now.
Right.
I mean, one of the things sometimes I'll watch is like the DC comic shows on the CW. Not all of them. I used to watch all of them. Some of them I've given up on. Flash. But none of those shows are coming back until early next year because they can't film them. Like normally for a lot of fall television shows, they're always shooting throughout the summer. Well, nobody's shooting anything right now unless they're using their iPhones to make TikTok videos at home. So
I had read,
it sucks that season 4.
I had read, I think yesterday or the day before, something about and it was pictures of protocols that were being put in place on the set of Supernatural, because they've only got 5 episodes left, period, and then the whole show is done. So I guess
they're still on.
Yes, for 5 episodes left, but yeah, but I guess they're gonna let them.
Seasons.
Right? Dean is 112 at this point. No, but
and they've all died at least 6 times. So
Dean died 100 times in one episode.
Wait, is there a chance that happens via time loop? Because if it is, I'm gonna go find that episode. I love time loop episodes of shows. It's shows I don't.
Their Groundhog Day episode.
Okay, that's what time loop. That's what I mean. There are shows that I don't watch ever that I'll find out there's a time loop episode, and I'll go watch it, even out of context. I don't care. I love those episodes.
Stargate has one too.
Ooh. All right. Well, I'm just gonna have to go watch that then too. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this year had one of those. And the CW show, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, is one of my favorite, I want to say comic-based television shows, but it's so far away from the comics at this point, I don't think it qualifies as that. But my favorite episode of that is still the time loop episode from season 3. So I'm now I need to go find that episode of Supernatural. So what's that, in like season 35 or something? So,
No, season 3.
But Yeah, I don't know. As much as I don't want to wait for more episodes, and as much as I feel like season 3 of Cobra Kai is still too far away, even though technically it's probably not, I just have to revel in the fact that this show even exists. Because
Mhm.
in a time or in an era when so many movies are getting reboots and sequels years after the fact, or so many TV shows are getting reboots and spin-offs and remakes, and a lot of times they don't work particularly well. The magic behind Cobra Kai and how all the complaints we have, they're all nitpicky things. There's nothing giant to complain about. I feel lucky that this show exists at all, and that it's 3 times better than it even had a right to be. But that comes from the fact that the 3 guys making the show are uber fans of the movies, and I'm really glad for that.
It was
I mean,
very scary
watching...
as a fan from 1984, all the way through, and having watched my Battlestar Galactica become irrelevant, and my 21 Jump Street was erased, and my Chips, although I will admit that the reboot Chips was hilarious, mainly because I like Dax Shepard. But is to see so much the A-Team completely redone and messed up, and Clash of the Titans completely screwed up. I was
That's the one that gets you.
Not only did they fuck up the remake, but then they went and poured salt in the wound by making a sequel that didn't make a damn bit of sense.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
But it was terrifying to think of Johnny and Daniel ending up dead like Tommy and Doug did. Like, are they going to bring Johnny and Daniel on just to kill them? Like they did on 21 Jump Street. Are they going to have them be completely different people, or with just that happen to have the same names, or so many things done so wrong? And it's like they just knew in their hearts, they just felt where this story would go, and they're telling us. It's like they've known the whole time. Like Johnny and Daniel's universe has been going on alongside ours all this time, and they're just like, they pulled the curtains so we could watch. That's how real it feels to me.
I agree. Like when we're seeing Johnny sitting in his car and the LaRusso Auto commercial comes on the radio and he just switches the station, I'm just like, and we see the billboards, including the one he painted a dick on. That's hilarious.
Right.
I have to think that for the last 30 years, they both live in the same place they lived, not the same houses, but, they live in the same city, that for years, these billboards for LaRusso Auto have been torturing Johnny.
Yes.
And like he turns on, he turns on the car radio and there's a commercial, and I can't help but I feel like Johnny should get like Sirius radio so he can cut the commercials, and that's the only way to avoid the ads for the dealership. But yeah,
that'd be a good idea.
No, you know what, Bree, you got a good point. You're right. These characters, their lives have gone on just like all the rest of ours have, and now we finally get to see where they are with all that.
I don't think he'd be able to get Sirius radio, especially if he avoids Daniel, because he wouldn't have gotten that Charger or Challenger.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
There would be no Sirius radio in the Firebird. He has to get the Challenger from Daniel to get the and he, you know what? He got a 3-month free subscription with the Challenger.
Yeah, there you go.
So Daniel actually did give him Sirius radio. But Then he gets to listen to
That-
Ralph Macchio host the Bruce Springsteen show on E Street Radio. So he still can't get away from it. But I love everything about the way they brought it back, and they did so much so right, and it could have been so wrong.
Yeah. Look, I grew up watching Full House, okay? And I watched the first couple seasons of Fuller House.
Y'all are babies.
But after a couple seasons, well, that is true.
I watched Fuller House just last week, so I'm still watching it.
Well, no, I'm saying I gave it the first couple seasons, and at some point I'm going to finish it, but it's just not as enjoyable as successful reboots like Cobra Kai.
No, it's not.
I'm saying it has no merit, because it does have some merit.
I covered the first season.
I can't believe they got
just throwing it out there.
But yeah,
they're all back.
that
was
Cobra
the other
Kai is
thing.
spectacular. Huh?
I mean, all the actors were back to reprise their roles. That was for Fuller House. That was the biggest reason
except
that
for
I
the
continued to
twins.
watch. I mean,
And then they had to fire Aunt Becky because she went and committed a federal crime.
yeah.
Well, at least with the twins on that show, at least they poke fun at it, and they
were
they
babies.
make light of the fact that they're just out of town. But that show did something right too. That when they bring back the characters that were adults when those kids were kids on the show, they use it sparingly. They're not in every episode, and after the episode of season 2 where we got to see the Cobra Kai guys back, I remember somebody saying, I actually read a complaint that, that should have happened in the first season. Why?
No.
Like, that's just why. Like, they had to let the first season stand on its own and not bring back a bunch of extra characters, because it would have messed up the chi that they had going. I feel like they brought them in when they needed to come in, and they didn't, because I really didn't want, there is a lot of nostalgia in the first season, but I feel like it's just enough, and it's not too much. And bringing everybody back in the first season would have been overkill. And I'm glad that they didn't do that. But I am glad that we got to see them, especially in time for, because the actor that played
Rob
Garrison.
Oh my God. Yes, thank you. That he died, just a few months after that episode was out?
Yeah, he passed in September.
September, yeah, the show came out.
And
April.
so I'm just glad they got him in when they could. But I will admit that I watched the episode and I cried and it was sad, and it wasn't until a week later that I read somebody reviewing it. Like I was reading a review and somebody pointed out that they had to appreciate that they put him in a body bag, and I'm just like, how the fuck did I miss the significance of that when I was watching it? Because I totally did. The first time
surprising. It's a little surprising how many people, that I don't know. I thought it was really obvious.
I think to a lot of people if their brain didn't immediately go, it's like, you would expect the EMTs to zip up the body bag. We've seen that on a million episodes of 100,000 police and medical procedurals, right?
Yeah.
But I was, by the point that they got the zipper up to his face, I was just leaning forward in my chair, honest to God, screaming. I was hysterical.
Yeah.
Absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I think I was just so upset that they killed him at all, and that he died in his sleep, and the other characters wake up to find him like that. I think I was just more upset that they gave him the send off like they did, even though I'm pretty sure he was happy when he went. I think I was just overwhelmed, and so the actual significance of it was lost on me. And then when I heard that person say it, I actually texted my girlfriend and said, you know, they put him in a body bag. She's like, what? And I'm like, and then she texted back a minute later. She's like, oh, okay. So I'm like, all right, well, she missed it too, so it wasn't just me. But I thought
between
the
the song and the body bag and the visuals, Johnny screaming. Oh my God, the visual of Johnny screaming just in my head still makes tears well up in my eyes. I never want to see that look on Johnny's face again, ever. It just completely devastated me.
I feel like, and I feel like in the last episode, when he finds out about Miguel, he doesn't have the same look, but where he's just as distraught. And that's even before he goes to find out that, Kreese has stolen the dojo out from under him. I like how this show humanizes everybody and lets us never forget that these are real people. I mean, they're fictional characters, but they are real people being played completely convincingly by real people. And I like seeing Johnny's viewpoint in a way we never got to in the first movie. And I can't believe how often I'm on Johnny's side with this show, because every once in a while the LaRussos just drive me nuts. I'm just like, yeah, well, because like when Sam gets real impulsive or like refuses to listen to reason, I'm just like, wow, she's definitely Daniel's daughter.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile they've got that other kid that played a big part in the first season. What's he show up twice in the second season? Maybe 3 times. He's barely a character.
Who, Anthony?
Yeah.
Well, they had a couple things to do. First of all, they had to kind of hide the fact that Griffin Pietro is growing up very quickly and has had a massive growth spurt. So he's like 6 inches taller than he was. And they had to, explain it away, send him away to summer camp. And, he can come back and be all that much taller and all that much thinner, because that happens to 11-year-old boys, in a matter of months. So they could kind of hide the fact that I think the hard part coming up is going to be hiding the fact that their 10-year-old son is going to be 14 by the time they start filming again. And that's going to be really obvious.
A couple weeks ago, I saw a current picture of, I'm not even going to try to say the actor who plays Miguel's, I'm not even going to try to say his name. I'm going to fuck that all up, and I'm not going to do that.
Sholo.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. See, I knew him from Parenthood before he was on Cobra Kai, and he was like a 9-year-old kid or something on that show. And so when I see him on this, he didn't look significantly older. I mean, obviously he's an older teenager, but like I saw a picture of the actor, like last week I saw a picture of him from like one of the last convention appearances he had before this pandemic. And like the actor's, he's got like a beard and he's got like hair all over the place. And I'm just like, yeah, I just keep wondering when the kids on the show, they're going to start having like the facial hair and stuff. I can't, yeah, it's so weird because, yeah, you forget you watch these shows, but you have these child actors that as they start to grow, a lot of times they grow faster than the show can keep up with. Because after Stranger Things, in season 1, they said the one actor's voice started to change and started to grow up a lot. So when you get to the second season, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, they don't look like little kids anymore. It's only supposed to be a few months, after that.
Yeah.
So but I didn't realize that was actually why Daniel and Amanda's son wasn't. Why he didn't have a significant part in season 2. I didn't realize that.
Well, it was a good way for him to cover it. I don't know if that was the specific reason. He really didn't fit in the story. Because the story of season 2 was focused on Sam and Robbie. There wasn't really room for Anthony in it.
Just like a lot of the other characters.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Right.
And you know what? And the thing is, with season 3, there's going to be more characters that we love that they're not going to fit into the narrative, and so they're going to have smaller parts. That's just, I guess for me, that's just part of what comes along with having a story arc, is that the narrative starts to take shape, and certain things have to fall by the wayside. I'm glad that they don't shoehorn a lot of characters in, but like the landlord character, no, I can't remember his name. It's terrible.
Armand Zarkarian.
Yeah, when good interview with him, by the way. Like when he shows up just for a second. And Johnny tells him, "Get out of here, you already raised the rent." I'm like, see, that's a clever use of a character that I actually didn't think was going to be back. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, sorry, go Peter.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that speaks to the level of, the filmmaking, right? They could have easily cheated and just had him on the phone and even have the character of Johnny doing the dialogue, without even hearing the actor. So they even went as far as bringing Ken Davidian back for that role, for that scene. Yeah,
and it's very natural because that's how interactions go in real life, right? Your landlord shows up for 10 minutes on a random Thursday, and then you don't see him again for 6 months. Lynn sitting outside the door, I mean, you get the impression that Lynn sits on that sidewalk a lot, but just is sitting out there randomly eating donuts that she got out of the dumpster one day. That's very real. I mean, most of the interactions that we have with people, even people that we've known our whole lives, are a minute, 2 minutes in passing. And
that was before.
That's the way a lot of the interactions on the show are, and it's very, very real.
I mean, I do want to see Lynn come back for season 3 because her scene in season 2 was great. I did miss seeing more of her. She was funny in the first season, but because what does she say to Johnny? Take me home or something, and Kreese sort of looks at her and he gives her the eye, and I'm just like, oh God, Kreese, really? Really? And
one of the deleted takes, he actually said he would, didn't he?
Yeah.
He tried to pick her up.
That's funny.
Yeah, she said that it was a improv by Martin Cove.
Yep, that he'd take her home if Johnny wouldn't.
That's funny. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to season 3. I have nothing but trust in them to do everything they need to do to make a satisfying season. Like I said, I'm just glad the show exists. And I'm glad that you two were available to come on and talk to me about it, because
obviously we have no problem doing that, and doing it for we like to talk, and if we can sit and talk about this show, like while we were on the break from talking to you, we were on the phone with each other talking, and then we got off the phone with each other to get back on with you, and we'll do this all day long.
And it's always nice to have it's always nice just to have like a third voice to possibly bring like a different perspective, because we talk to each other all the time. Like I feel we already kind of know everything there is to know, about each other and how we kind of think.
Right, how we're gonna see. I can look at it and know how Peter's gonna view certain things, and he can do the same with me. So it is nice to have that third perspective.
Well, and I don't. You two. I mean, I'm just a regular guy who watches the show. You two are like celebrities. I know neither of you agree, but it's true.
No,
Um,
we're just
I mean,
regular
even-
people who watch a show.
When you invited, when
Yeah,
when you messaged me to invite me, I even said, we're just regular folk too.
I'm
Yeah,
nobody. I
but
say
you're on a
that to
first name basis.
anyone.
No,
Anyone who asks, who are you? I am nobody. I'm a fan, just like any other
No,
fan. That's it.
but you're on a first name basis with the big three. So no, sorry,
Gotta
you're
start.
you're like 6 levels above. Sorry.
No,
Um,
now,
um,
the only one that I consistently call by his first name is Hayden. And that's because of the H's. Because Hurwitz, Hayden, and Healed sounds better than Hurwitz, Schlossberg, and Healed. It just flows better.
Huh. Interesting. I never noticed the alliteration there before. Interesting. But yeah, it's funny because when Peter talks about when he started the podcast, because he wanted to do an episode and then he realized one episode's not nearly enough, so you end up with a podcast out of it. And I was laughing to myself. I'm like, here I am trying to talk about this show 2 seasons, 1 episode. This isn't
Right?
going to work. I'm like, yeah, it's really overwhelming.
It is.
But
It
It is because you have to dig into the movies and you have to dig into what came before and what came after. And you really can't do, I mean, what have we got here? 2.5 hours?
So not only did I, end up producing more than a couple of episodes to review the season, I went off and started a different podcast specifically to talk about Cobra Kai. And now here we are, 120 plus episodes over 2 years later.
Right. And extra content,
Well-
the trivia games and the videos and everything that we've got on YouTube. And it's just become this huge thing, but it's all his, by the way. I have nothing to do with any of it. He built it.
You
yeah,
have
but
some
you're the one that
data.
comes up with those trivia questions. And I'll say
Right.
this. I'm never in the live recording, so I'm not actually participating. But when I listen, I participate, and I have not made it more than 5 questions in yet, because somewhere either the 4th or 5th question is always something crazy that completely trips me up, and when you reveal the right answer, I'm just like, well, that was obvious, and I'm out of the game now. So. I have to laugh when you'll be like, wow, 17 people were eliminated on that one. I'm like, yeah, I was one of them. So I am playing along, but it's after the fact, and yep, you trip me up every time. I've never gotten more than halfway before I've been eliminated. Because as much as I think I've got a handle on a lot of the trivia, then you'll ask a question, I'm like, huh. Good thing there's multiple choice, because I think 3 of those answers are right.
Oh, no.
So,
And I think
um,
you might have seen my comment in one of our posts in the group page, where I admittedly told everybody I don't envy you guys because I don't play this and I would lose every single round. I continue to find questions that when we're asking them and giving them multiple choice, even I'm sitting there like, oh God, which one is it?
Oh yeah, because I the plan all along was for Peter and I to write the questions together. And then the first week happened and I had been working on it and developing it like in the background. I'd been working on it for about 6 weeks by myself. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go live with it Sunday. Okay. So frantic 72 hours, throw the questions in there. And then it just never got back to the point where I get things done far enough in advance to send it to Peter for approval to get it back before putting it all in, because I have to have everything in by Saturday night. So, yeah, he doesn't even see the questions.
Yep, and I say that almost every episode. I mean, Brihana, just to go back to what you were saying, like, yeah, I created it, maybe I'm the brains behind the podcast, but you're very much the backbone. You're the reason that we put out, different types of episodes. Without you, there is no trivia game for us.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know what to say.
also,
Shake your head, say yes.
well, also,
okay, I'm shaking my head.
all right.
well, like the episodes that you would do after the trailers would come out and your reactions to them and your analysis, you like your level of knowledge is always impressive to me. And it's definitely the sign of, it's a sign of passionate fans that care about these things. And I love it because, the internet has done a good job of bringing people who like these shows and movies together, but oftentimes you don't find a lot of, things start out as civil conversation, and then a lot of times they'll just evolve into flame wars and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But the group that you have on Facebook for this show is the most civil group on Facebook. Nobody is throwing shade or talking shit or trolling or starting crap. And I don't know how you managed to find and maintain a civilized group, but wow, I wish more Facebook groups would take some notes, because so many Facebook groups I've left just because there's a few great members and everybody else is an asshole. That's what it feels like sometimes. Slight exaggeration, unless we're talking about some of the Star Wars groups I've been on.
Oh, sure.
But
you and I
wow.
were in one together, right? The Rose group. I think you found me.
Yes. Yes.
In there one day.
And see that's a civil group. I wish more groups would be like that. But
well, they started for a very specific reason. So I think that's why it is. But I do appreciate your kind words about our group.
True.
I think the biggest difference is that I feel every group has rules, but my moderators, I hand selected people that I know I can trust in their opinions on certain matters. They hold people accountable. The things that you listed off, we've actually had people be like every single bit that you just mentioned. You just probably don't see it, because we had already handled an issue or taken care of things before other people start seeing it too.
See, and here I've been under the impression that maybe, wow, would you find a group of people where nobody's an asshole? That's just that's unbelievable. Yes, that makes sense now.
Yeah. We shut shit down pretty quickly.
Yeah, we do. But I mean, we've been fortunate in that most of the people who have found their way to us seem to be just really decent people who want to bond over a common love for these movies in this show. Nobody wants to be better than anybody else. Nobody wants to make their bones or, make a name for themselves. Nobody wants to be better than anybody else. Nobody wants to pick fights about whether or not the crane kick was legal, or at least not seriously. I mean, yeah, we fight about it and joke about it, but we have Cobras on there and we have Miyagi-Dos on there. And we all kind of see the merits of both sides. We haven't totally committed to one side or the other, or if we have, we realize that that doesn't mean that we have to hate someone. I mean, there is toxic fandom out there on Facebook. You've seen it, right? People who openly admit that they are Daniel fans are threatened with bodily harm for liking a fictional character. And
ridiculous.
That is out there and that does exist, but we've been fortunate that the people that seek us out are not like that.
Right.
Well, I'll say this for the group too. As many people, as many regular folks, regular fans that you have on that group, it's also a testament to how well the group is run when you look at the number of actors and actresses from Cobra Kai and from the movies and the creators that are members of the group, and they actually participate because it's a social media environment where nobody has to feel threatened. I mean, a lot of times the actors and actresses from big franchises stay the hell away from fan groups because it's a jungle out there, basically. It's all bunch of savages in this town, like they say in Clerks. But the number of cast members from Cobra Kai that and the movies that you have in the group that actually participate, I mean, you get them all to come on for the trivia and everything. I mean, it's impressive. And it wouldn't be like that if you hadn't created such a civil environment where everybody can feel free to just be fans without having to wear protective gear before you go in. So, yeah, you're doing something right. You definitely are.
You thank you. You mentioned that you've never tuned into our trivia games live. So what you're missing out is on after we had established a winner, everyone is very supportive of the champs, every single one of them. Nobody is salty for their loss. You know, we've had at least 3 sudden deaths where it's always cordial. So everybody really loves one another in our group, and everyone's just so supportive, and it bleeds into Twitter afterwards too. Hey, who was the winner? Everyone's always curious. Is it somebody I know from the companion group? You know, it's things like that.
Wait a minute. Civil behavior on Twitter? Wow.
Yes.
At
That
least
is a
within our
parallel
group
universe.
members.
Yes.
Wow.
The best thing to come out of 2020.
Weird. Well, I'm a longtime Star Trek fan, but normally I hate the Mirror Universe episodes because, it's like, oh, it's all the same stuff except grittier and darker, whatever. But this year in real life, we're living in the Mirror Universe, and this shit sucks.
Right.
So, but anyways,
That's one of the things I noticed rewatching. One thing I do want to say, with the pandemic and with everything going on and the social distancing, I did a rewatch last night of both seasons. Well, I made it all but 4. I made it to the last 4 episodes. I watched them when I got up this morning because it was 4 a.m. But
you have to stop
one of the
sometime.
things that I noticed was how close, like, the people, this is gonna sound so, trying to put it into words. Because the show takes place in 2018, because the show is still in 2018, watching season 1 and season 2 and knowing that we're going to watch season 3, it's going to take us back to when the world was normal. And we're going to get to watch this, crazy, insane, dramatic, whatever, but the world that they live in is still normal. So for those 11 hours, God help us, our world is going to be normal.
Oh, that's not where I was going with. Like, I feel because of everything that's been going on, my fear is to sit there and watch season 3 and be taken out because people are touching one another, hugs and kisses in the family. I do that now when Facebook reminds me of a video or a picture from X amount of years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even thinking about the moment that picture was taken. I'm thinking about the contact between the people in the photo.
When you could kiss your wife?
Yeah, things like that. Holding my kids, that's my fear. That my watch of season 3 might be tainted because of that. So I hope that I can, kind of just submerge myself into the world and just kind of forget about that. I hope that can happen.
I can see both sides. I'm really looking forward to seeing them that close, to seeing Johnny and Carmen kiss and to see Daniel and Amanda hold each other. I I want this. I want to
might
see
make
them
us
be,
feel. It might
you
make us
know,
feel really good.
yeah.
What a way
That's my
to
hope
wrap
too.
up.
So, but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, major downer.
No, actually, I feel like, yeah, because I watch shows that take place 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I'm just like, man, remember the good old days when we could, I don't know, go out to a restaurant and eat. Wow.
Right.
Shit. You know, wow, crowd scenes. Wow, that used to be a thing. Not anymore. Um, my son asks if someday we can go see like Monster Jam live. I'm like, yes, we can. And I'm thinking to myself, well, whenever this is all over, I'm actually thinking to myself, I'd like to, if we ever get to again.
This was the first year that
Yeah.
we missed in the last 5 that we've taken him to Monster Jam. He loves Monster Jam. He's a Max D kid.
Well, I wanted to take my son 2 years ago when he first got into it, but he's 7 now. Yeah, he was 5, but he was afraid it was going to be too loud. And at
it's
the
loud.
time, he didn't like a lot of. But now like he wants to go because like he's back into it, and yeah, he's all Max D and Gravedigger too. Meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm like, Whiplash, Bounty Hunter. I like some of the more offbeat ones. But yeah, I'm just like, man, I really hope I do get a chance to do that someday. I've never been outside the U.S., but I'm just like, man, someday I'd like to be able to go, just because I've missed the opportunity to go, and now I kind of wish I could, but I'm just like, now that the way things are going, damn it. But yeah, this is I don't know. It's a strange world we're living in right now, but I think we just have to enjoy everything while it lasts. Damn it. Not to be a downer or anything, but I don't know. Remember the good old days 8 months ago when this, 18 months ago when this pandemic first started, and people used to say, oh, after the virus clears up, fuck.
Well, you know what's really kind of scary is Hayden mentioned once, kind of in passing, that when they were in Japan, they saw a lot of people wearing masks, and they didn't know why till about 2 weeks after they got back. So that's kind of how close that was to devastating our entire franchise.
Wow.
Literally a matter of weeks
wow.
of taking out a large swath of the crew, one of the producers, and the star. Thank God it didn't.
Wow.
And thank God they got back safe. And pray to God they stay that way.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a country that was extremely prepared.
Yes. Very true. Which is why they saw a bunch of people wearing masks and they didn't know why. Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Damn it. Well, I'm going to let you both go because you have lives. I don't, so I can stay. But, I'm sure you all have things to do.
It's 11 o'clock on a Friday. I'm old. I need to go to bed.
Well, then I'll let you go just so you can do that. Because I think I'm going to go watch something and fall asleep. No, the hell I won't. I already feel the insomnia. But
yeah.
I want tell everybody where they can find the podcast. Tell them about the Facebook group. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put a link when I post this on YouTube. But yep, give everybody your details so they can find.
All right, Rita, you want to start off with your work?
I am just Brihana25 everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, Archive of Our Own, fanfiction.net. I make posters sometimes, although after yesterday's came out, I may never make one again because I can't do that. My God, it's my wallpaper now. And oh my God, I've just been sitting here staring at it all day. It's so gorgeous. And I make music videos and I write goofy stories. And that's about it.
All right. For me, I'm on Twitter, Cobra Kai Pod, Cobra Kai Podcast on Instagram. We do have that YouTube channel, Cobra Kai Companion with a K. And also the group, just type in Cobra Kai Companion, really. It's a really long name. It's to really filter out the people. Like, if you don't know, probably don't want you in the group, I think that's the other thing why, like, we're such like-minded fans in the group. And, all the
You have to be
respectable
a hardcore fan to go looking for that particular combination of letters.
Or if you were looking for the
considering
podcast
it starts with the
Right.
www. But you know what? I thank you for joining me on this. I mean, I just asked about it the other day, and I thought for sure it'd be, well, maybe by October I'll get to talk to him. Oh wow, that was fast. Good.
No, we really don't do anything.
Yeah,
we do it in bulks.
And yeah, that's it.
When something's going on, it's a flurry of it. Other than that, it's a lull.
Right. Hey, you want to go live in 5 minutes? Sure, why not? Yep, a lot of that.
I was thinking we were going to possibly record tomorrow, but we ended up doing it tonight. So, or actually, no. I was thinking it was going to be later tonight, but then I was all like, oh, smoke real quick and then start. I was like, oh sure, why not?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go with the club.
Well, my other podcast, General Geekery, that I do with my best friend, he's my co-host. A lot of times, we always make a joke on the show that we're never prepared. We don't prepare because sometimes it's just like, all right, give me about 30 minutes. Let's do this shit. So not that if we actually scheduled it, we'd be prepared then either. But I like to think we might.
It's like Mikey and Jeremy. Facts do not exist on this podcast.
Yep. I was thinking it. You said it. I was thinking it.
Shout out to the Cobra guys. We love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and see, I always think of Mike Barnes' line where he's like, things a joke, things shit, and I'm just like, preparation. Oh, that's cute.
Right.
But yes, Bree, Peter, thank you for this. It's been amazing.
Well,
thank you. It's been great.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow, my new podcast experiment may have peaked right here. Awesome.
No, I hope not.
Well, yeah.
I had an actor at a convention once tell me that I was going to be the only thing he remembered about that entire weekend. And I looked at him and I said, God, I hope not, because I would hate for this, to be what haunts you for the rest of your life. So I will say the same thing. I would hope this is not your peak.
Yeah, but the difference is here. No, the difference here is there's no haunting. No, I can't imagine it getting better. So now I'm just gonna have to, find a way to be happy with whatever happens next. So, but yeah, thank you, and I'll get this posted and I'll link it to the group, and I got to figure out how to put 2 recordings into one, because, well, I'm a smartphone away from being a Quaker or a Luddite, so that's how it goes. But I'm basically in that episode, different but same, and Johnny's like, what's Facebook? All right, I'm a little more advanced than that, but not much. So, but I will say goodnight, and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.